Greetings, listeners, and thank you for joining me once again as we celebrate stories and storytelling in all their forms and the bards and artists who bring them all to life. I am the Tale Collector and your host, Erica Adams. I'd like to begin this one by talking a bit about the Bechdel test. Named after American cartoonist Alison Bechdel, it measures the representation of women in fiction, particularly film. Its typical primary requirement is that the piece tested must include at least 2 female characters with actual names who converse with each other about something other than a man. For many years, this has helped those in the film industry point out and reevaluate the stereotypical depictions of female characters in movies and the resulting negative effects they have on real women. While not without its flaws and criticisms, the Bechdel test has paved the way for future films to bring audiences stronger, more realistic female characters in order to discourage gender inequality in real life as well as in fiction. I think it's safe to say that this French animated film passes with every flying color under the sun. Let us now journey Long Way North. Released June 16, 2015, and rated PG for some peril and mild language. Ever since she was a child, 19th century aristocrat Sasha Chernetsov has idolized her beloved grandfather, Alokin, who embarked on the unsinkable icebreaker, the Divai, to fulfill his dream of claiming the North Pole in the name of Russia. He tragically never returned, and the Divai has remained missing ever since. Nevertheless, Sasha, now a teenager, is proud of her grandfather's achievements as an explorer. Wandering through his study one night, Sasha stumbles upon his itinerary and is shocked to discover that the crew sent to locate the Divai had searched in the wrong location. However, Alokin's posthumous praise does not sit well with Prince Tomsky, who views the expedition's apparent failure as an insult to himself and to the Empire. The prince uses his influence to not only ruin Sasha's chances of getting help from the Tsar of Russia, but to disgrace Alokin's legacy and the Chernetsov name in high society along with it. Having nothing more to lose now, Sasha determines to find the Divai herself. With the hard-won help of Captain Lund and his rowdy crew, she must brave the harsh Arctic wilderness to learn the fate of her grandfather's voyage and restore her family's honor. The French title of Long Way North, Tout au long du monde, literally translates to At the Very Top of the World. Its plot was partly inspired by director Rémi Chailly's reading of Sir Ernest Henry Shackleton, an explorer who attempted to cross the South Pole and who was a major figure in the period known as the heroic age of Antarctic exploration, between the ends of the 19th century and World War I. According to Chailly, in the heart of Shackleton's exploits of sailing ships, towering glaciers, and stormy seas is a story of human spirit and perseverance, qualities Chailly sought to bring to his film. There was also an underlying desire to bring to new, younger audiences a classic adventure story in the vein of those written by such epic authors as Jack London and Jules Verne. I think this historical aesthetic is well reflected in the animation style. The entire movie is like a museum oil painting come to life, with the colors being very stark and solid. Backgrounds may seem simplistic at first glance, but can be appreciated as the masterpieces they are when observed as a whole. In a manner highly reminiscent of Genndy Tartakovsky's Samurai Jack, there is little to no mixing or blending of one color to another. Most colors aren't separated by any lines, and the lines that do exist for detail's sake, like for facial features, are seldom black. Moreover, the character designs feel very deliberate in artistic emotional tone. The females and younger men, from the lovely, steadfast Sasha and the burly but compassionate innkeeper Olga, to the cunning first mate Larson and the mischievous ship's apprentice Ketch, have rounder, fuller faces, accentuating their vivacity and openness. The main older males, in contrast, are sharp and angular, complementing their positions of power and authority. The resilient Alokin, the severe Count Chernetsov, the pitiless Prince Tomsky, and the brusque Captain Lund all seem to have been chiseled out of stone with personalities to match, ranging from proud and strong to cold and unrelenting. Getting back to my original point, to give you an idea of why I find Sasha such an admirable female protagonist, let me explain at the same time what she is not. First, she is not dissatisfied with her upper-class life or ashamed of her heritage. It's all well and good for girls to challenge stifling social norms, especially with regards to their futures. But listening to them complain, or sing, about how tortured and misunderstood they are beforehand can get real old real fast. Grief and unfulfilled pursuits aside, Sasha still acts according to her station. Though unafraid to speak her mind, she is never moody, selfish, or immature. She is resolute in her beliefs while still remaining dignified and attentive of her position when necessary, no matter how it may clash with her own wishes. Second, she is not an awkward tomboy or a Mulan ripoff. Consider how many girls in movies have had to effectively sacrifice their femininity or even their very sex by means of disguise in order to be taken seriously by men. Sasha is perfectly comfortable in her own skin. She strives to prove her worth and help the crew, who know exactly who and what she is, for the sake of their mission and their survival, without said mission devolving into some juvenile battle of the sexes cliché. Third, she is not a dated millennial in a quote-unquote backwards era. If you're going to create an unironically smart, respectable female character for a period piece, realistic or fantastical, at the very least, for Pete's sake, make them fit the time period. A confident young woman does not have to sound like some American 20-year-old socialite from a 90s chick flick in order for modern girls to relate to her. Sasha's intelligence and boldness come not from a wisecracking attitude and a petty contempt for those who would look down on her, but from a genuine thirst for knowledge and a sincere passion for the vocation of geographical exploration. And speaking of fitting the time period, I was surprised at how a certain music choice actually works, considering how obnoxiously jarring it could have been. The soundtrack was composed by Jonathan Morali, frontrunner of the French indie rock band Sid Matters, two of whose songs are featured in the film. Despite the contemporary edge, their music has a very introspective sound which complements the organically emotional highs and lows Sasha experiences, without being a distraction to either the historical setting or the pragmatic tone. But undoubtedly the film's symphonic highlights occur for me during the silent moments within the heart of the Arctic. A cello solo, slow, soft, and heartbreaking, over the awe-inspiring sounds of rumbling glaciers, shifting ice fields, and mournful winds, to a visual backdrop of the purest white, as magnificent as it is desolate. As Long Way North is a drama as well as an action-adventure, its music is equally subdued and somber, moods which Morali pulls off beautifully. And like the aforementioned painting to which I made a comparison, here is a powerful representation of humanity humbled before the devastating forces of nature that could easily be pondered for hours or eternity. With elegantly solid animation to complement an exciting and poignant story with a healthy appreciation for nature's wonders and dangers, Long Way North is a cinematic love letter to the epic exploration adventures of old. But as much as it's a throwback to the past, it also offers a refreshingly different kind of heroine for contemporary young audiences to look up to. A sensitive and sensible young woman and a brave and honorable human being, rather than an exasperating wide-eyed idealist or a walking man with boobs trope. In all honesty, I think its feminist message is all the stronger for focusing less on lofty ideas of girl power and more on the strength of the human spirit, a theme much more inclusive and universal, because of what real use are gender labels when you're aiming for the top of the world. Gather round next time for another tale you may have forgotten or have never heard before. Until then, listeners, may inspiration always find you.